Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible, guys? Hello, am I audible? Okay, fine. Okay, everyone. Maybe others will join soon. So let's start today's lab. I think last time we have completed digital modulation last technique PSK. Isn't it, everyone? So far we have completed total, I think, P plus 2, 5 experiments. One is sampling, second is PCM, third is ASK, FSK, PSK. Okay, so third is ASK, fourth is FSK, fifth is PSK. Okay, so total five experiments we have completed so far. Now, your sixth experiment today we are going to study is amplitude modulation. This part we have already covered into theory. Actually, we have done that analog to analog conversion, which is having three different techniques: amplitude modulation, frequency modulation, and phase modulation. So today we are going to do one of that experiment, that is amplitude modulation and demodulation. So let me share the screen. Just a minute. Okay, are you able to see my screen? Okay, fine. So, see, this is the title of the experiment: amplitude modulation and demodulation using AM transmitter and receiver. So, here in today's experiment, we are going to see two techniques. One is the amplitude modulation, I mean, two circuits, two multisim circuits. One is the amplitude modulation, and second is the demodulation. Okay, so now whenever we are doing a modulation, amplitude modulation, we are doing the analog to analog conversion, right? So analog to analog is no conversion, right? So what we are doing in the analog to analog conversion, and why it is required, what is the need for doing this modulation, okay, that we are going to see first. So analog to analog modulation means we are going to convert low frequency analog signal into the high frequency analog signal. That is known as a modulation. So what is the need for modulation? That is the second slide. Just a minute. So need for modulation. First is, you all know, right? Modulation means low frequency to high frequency. And as I think I have told you multiple times that low frequency signal cannot travel a long distance. Why? Because low frequency signal is having a less energy. So low signal strength. So low signal strength cannot travel a long distance because in between the channel, the amplitude or the strength of the signal will be completely attenuated. And at the receiver side, you will not able to receive any signal at all, because till receiver, no signals will reach. Okay, that's why that is the problem of the low frequency message signal. A high frequency or high energy signal, which is called as carrier signal, will be used for the modulation. So carrier means, I told you multiple times, carrier means which will carry the signal, right? So here the carrier signal, which is of very high frequency compared to the message signal, will carry your message signal throughout the channel. And as this carrier signal is of very high energy, it can travel to a larger distance, what we want actually, right? And whenever the high energy or high frequency signal is there, it will not be affected by the external disturbances like noises and attenuation and interference, etc. Okay, so it can travel a long distance easily. That these three things are very important for understanding the modulation, why we are doing this analog to analog conversion. Now if you, after studying these three needs, if you will look at the modulation term means simply a change, right? So we are changing our message signal, or we are changing our analog low frequency signal to a signal so that it can travel a long distance, which will be having the higher energy. Now, the whenever you are calculating the need of modulation or advantages of modulation, there are total 5 advantages of the modulation, or you can also say that these are the 5 advantages of high frequency signal, right? So high frequency signal advantages or the modulation advantages. So need for the modulation or advantages of modulations are: first, avoids mixing of signal, so signals will not be mixed. Second, increase the range of communication. So communication can be done in a longer distance. Third is wireless communication. So except wired communication, you can also do the wireless communication by using modulation. Fourth is reduces the effect of noise. So whenever the signal is of high energy, the noise effect will be reduced. And the last is reduces the height of antenna. So whenever you are designing the antenna for wireless communication, the antenna height is a major parameter. So if you are using the high frequency signal for transmission, then the height of antenna will be reduced, because height of antenna and the frequency is having a inverse relation. Okay, so let's study this one by one. First, avoids mixing of signal. Why it avoids mixing of signal? Because let me tell you, see, mixing of signal means what? Whenever the two signal frequencies are very nearby, you cannot separate them both, or you cannot differentiate both the signals. You will look like that both signals are almost same. Okay, so avoids mixing of signal means what? You don't want to do that, or you don't want to feel that, right? So the frequency difference must be higher, so that the mixing of signals cannot occur. I repeat, the frequency difference must be higher so that the mixing of signals will not occur. So frequency difference, when frequency difference will be higher? If you are saying that you are working with a low frequency message signal, low frequency means what? 0 to 100 hertz, 0 to maximum, let's say 500 hertz. So in the 0 to 500 hertz range, if you are transmitting two signals, let's say one is having the 400 hertz frequency, and second is let's say having the 450 hertz frequency, right? So total 50 hertz is the difference. Frequency difference is 50 hertz between these two signals. Now let us look at the another criteria, high frequency. So high frequency range will be in the kilohertz or megahertz or gigahertz. So let's say we are talking about in between range, let's say megahertz. Okay, so in the megahertz range frequency, if you are talking about the same value, 400 megahertz and 450 megahertz, then how much is the frequency difference? Not 50 hertz, 50 megahertz. It means 50 into 10 raised to 6 hertz. So the frequency difference between the two signals will be very large, or you can keep the frequency difference very large because you have the large bandwidth in the high frequency, right? So if the frequency difference is very large, you can avoid the mixing of signals. Okay, that is the first need or first advantage of the modulation. Any doubt into the first advantage or need? Avoids mixing of the signals. Okay, fine. So second advantage is increases the range of communication. I already told you that low frequency signals are having the low energy, right? So and if you will think that why low frequency signal is having the low energy, then let me tell you, energy and frequency is again having a direct relation. Okay, so frequency is low, then energy of the signal will be low, signal strength will be low, so it cannot travel or it cannot reach to the destination properly. But whenever you are going to increase the frequency, it can also increase the range of communication. Range means in terms of distance. Third is wireless communication. So wireless communication, see, generally if you will look at the frequency spectrum, right, which is in the air, right? So that frequency spectrum is divided into different frequency ranges, and all those different frequency ranges are used for the different applications. Now, if you will see at the wired medium, like optical fiber or copper wire or something like that, then those wired medium will use very low frequency range. Okay, so frequency range for the wired medium will not be should not be high, but for the wireless communication like mobile communication or satellite communication, the frequency range will be in the megahertz or gigahertz or something like that. So it means frequency range is very high. So whenever you want to convert your low frequency signal into high frequency signal, you can also use the wireless medium because it will support the high frequency range. So wireless communication will be possible if you will increase the frequency of the signal. Fourth is reduces the effect of noise. So whenever you are transmitting the signal into the transmission medium, then in the transmission medium, as I told you, there can be many noises and attenuation and interference can be there, right? But if your signal will be of very high frequency, then noise cannot affect your signal much. Why? Because your signal is going very fast. Your signal is going very fast, and that noise cannot affect your signal much. That is being proved. Okay, don't worry. And the fifth is reduces height of antenna. So let me tell you, height of antenna, that is generally given as a h. That the height of antenna is directly proportional to wavelength of the signal. Wavelength means lambda, right? So height of antenna is directly proportional to wavelength of the signal, and wavelength is inversely proportional to f. Okay, so it means if you will write the equation for, just a minute, let me show you into the paint for the equation. Sorry. So let me write the equation here, that height of antenna equal to wavelength, that is lambda by 4. And I hope you know the equation of wavelength and frequency relation. Can anyone say what is the relation between frequency and wavelength? I'm sure that you are aware about it. Relation between frequency and wavelength. Maybe you have used that equation multiple times. Okay, velocity equal to f into lambda. Fine. Or velocity, instead of velocity you can also write c, that is velocity of light. Yeah, c equal to f lambda. So it means lambda equal to velocity upon frequency, that wavelength equal to velocity upon frequency. Just a minute. So your height of antenna will be equal to, let's say, velocity upon frequency, and divide by 4 is there, so I'm writing here into 4. Okay, so this is your equation. Height of antenna is inversely proportional to frequency. It means as frequency will be increases, height of antenna requirement will be reduces. Okay, so let me take example over here. So let us take one example of different frequencies and let us calculate the height of the antenna. The antenna height should be approximately equal to the wavelength. Okay, if we are considering that, okay, height of the antenna is equal to wavelength, right, not divide by 4 even, then what will be the equation? So we all know that lambda equal to v by c, that is velocity by frequency. So velocity of light, if you will consider, then 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second, and frequency is, let's say here, first example, we are taking frequency as 20 kilohertz. So if the frequency is 20 kilohertz, then the calculation says that your wavelength will be 15,000 meters. And if you are taking height of antenna is lambda by 4, then also it will be 15,000 by 4 meters. Okay, now 15,000 meters means you can say that 15 kilometer, right? So antenna height will be 15 kilometer, will be very large. You can say that very huge height, and you cannot design the antenna in the 15-kilometer height, right? So what I want to say is, if you will increase the frequency value from 20 kilohertz to 20 megahertz, let's say. Okay, then if you will increase the frequency from 20 kilohertz to 20 megahertz, it will be approximately 1.5 meter only. So the height of antenna will be reduced from 15,000 meters to 1.5 meters. And that's why we are using the higher frequency instead of lower frequency. So this is one of the more advantage of modulation. So this 5 advantages of the modulation are very important, everyone. Okay, any doubt into this 5 advantages? If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Wireless. Okay, wireless. So let me tell you, in the air, you all know that in the air there are so many frequencies. So let's say, just a minute. Let's say these are the all frequencies which are divided into different applications. Let's say satellite application, and mobile application, and optical fiber communication, and see, all the frequencies in the air are divided into multiple applications, everyone, television and radio and everything. Okay. So what I want to say is, whenever you are using, see, this is the low frequency from high frequency. So you can say that from frequency in hertz to terahertz, or hertz to even, if you will consider in a gigahertz, then also it will be okay. Right. So if you are saying that the frequencies which are very low are used generally for the wired medium, where you are using the coaxial cable and copper wire and any other type of wires, right? So wired medium will be having, wired medium applications will be having the low frequency range. So it means you cannot do the wireless communication by low frequency. So if you will convert your low frequency into the high frequency, this will be in the wireless communication medium, like mobile communication and your satellite communication and everything. Okay, so whatever wireless communication will be done in the air, that is actually high frequency range. That is done into the high frequency range. If your frequency is low, you cannot use the wireless medium. You have to use the wired medium, right? That is the advantage. Understood? Yeah, fine. So next is, I just want to tell you that okay, your modulation, that is analog modulation, will be divided into three parts. We have already seen these three type of categories into the theory: amplitude modulation, frequency modulation, and phase modulation. So why we are doing only one experiment? Because in the amplitude modulation, there are so many different techniques which are used in the different applications. So first is, what is AM? Why amplitude modulation and what is amplitude modulation? So it is defined. Obviously, amplitude modulation means we are going to change the amplitude of the carrier signal, right, in accordance with the amplitude of the message signal. So defined as the process in which amplitude of carrier wave is varied in accordance with the instantaneous values of the modulating or message signal. Okay, so your carrier signal amplitude will be changed according to the amplitude of message signal. And whatever generated amplitude modulated signal is known as generated signal is called as modulated signal or amplitude modulated signal. And the envelope of the modulated wave has the same shape as the baseband signal. I think I have told you about the envelope of the modulated signal into the lecture also. Envelope means whenever you are getting the modulated signal, if you will follow the only higher peak of the signal, that will make one envelope. And the envelope will be same as the message signal. The envelope of the final amplitude modulated wave will be having the same shape as the message signal. So here if you will observe, they have used the multiple terms. Modulating signal is also message signal. Baseband signal is also a message signal. Okay, so message signal can be termed as message signal, information signal, modulating signal, baseband signal, all are same. Okay, so information signal will be done. Now animation, see, as I have shown you the animation for ASK, FSK, PSK, the same animation is done for the amplitude modulation also. So let me show you here. We can change the different frequency for the modulating signal as well as carrier signal, and we can see that how the amplitude modulated signal will look like. So let us see it. See, first is the carrier signal. Second is your message signal. So see, carrier signal is of very high frequency. Message signal is of very low frequency. You can change the frequency by changing here, right? So you can decrease or increase the carrier frequency as much as you want. Second, you can change the message signal frequency also by changing this one. Okay, so this is your message signal frequency. This is your carrier signal frequency. If you will do the amplitude modulation, it means carrier signal amplitude will be changed according to the message signal value. It means if you will see here, see, from 0 to maximum peak, the signal value is continuously increasing. And here also, if you will see, signal amplitude will be continuously increasing up to this maximum peak. After this peak, again signal will start decreasing up to here. So signal amplitude will, carrier signal amplitude will be decreasing up to here. Again, if it is increasing, your signal amplitude will increase. If it is decreasing, your carrier signal amplitude will be decreased, and so on. Okay, so this is your carrier signal, this is your modulating the signal, and this is your modulated, amplitude modulated signal. You can also see by zooming it. Okay, any doubts in this animation? See, here we are just, I just want to show you that how amplitude modulated signal will look like. Actually, we have seen into the lecture also. Okay, fine. So let us go ahead and let me show you one video regarding amplitude modulation, frequency modulation, and phase modulation.
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help. This sentence is grammatically correct.
Okay, can you hear the sound, everyone?
It underlines the writer's message. Word choices. Grammarly's cutting-edge technology helps you craft a compelling,
Okay, so
understandable
let
writing
me.
that makes an impact on your reader. What is amplitude modulation? That is AM. When the amplitude of high frequency carrier wave is changed in accordance with the intensity of the signal, this process is called amplitude modulation. In the amplitude modulation, only the amplitude of the carrier wave is changed. The frequency and the phase of the carrier wave remains constant. The first visual shows the principle of amplitude modulation. The diagram also shows the audio-electrical signal of frequency Fs. The second visual shows a carrier wave of constant amplitude with frequency Fc. The third visual is the amplitude modulated wave. It is to be noted that the amplitudes of both positive and negative half cycles of carrier waves are changed in accordance with the signal. Thus, the amplitude of the modulated wave possesses the frequency of audio signal waves. Explain frequency modulation, that is FM. When the frequency of carrier wave is changed in accordance with the intensity of the signal, this process is called frequency modulation. In frequency modulation, the amplitude and phase of the carrier wave remains constant. Only the frequency of the carrier wave is changed in accordance with the signal. The frequency variation of the carrier wave depends on the instantaneous amplitude of the signal as shown. When the signal voltage is 0 at A, C, E and G, the carrier frequency is unchanged. When the signal approaches its positive peaks at B and F, the carrier frequency is increased to maximum as shown by closely spaced cycles, but during the negative peak of signal as at D, the carrier frequency is reduced to minimum as shown by widely spaced cycles. The louder signal causes greater frequency change in modulated carrier as indicated by increased bunching and speeding of the waves as compared with relatively weaker signal. The frequency of an FM transmitter without signal input is called the resting frequency or center frequency F0, and this is the allotted frequency of the transmitter. When the signal is applied, the carrier frequency deviates up and down from its resting value F0. The change or shift either above or below the resting frequency is called frequency deviation, del F. The total variation in frequency from the lowest to the highest is called carrier swing, CS. Hence, carrier swing is equal to 2 into frequency deviation. So 2 into del F. For the purposes of FM broadcast, it has been internationally agreed to restrict maximum deviation to 75 kHz on each side of the center frequency for sounds of maximum loudness.
Okay, so any doubt to anyone in this video? See, they have simply explained amplitude modulation and frequency modulation difference. Right? In amplitude modulation, amplitude of the carrier signal will be varied in accordance to the instantaneous value of message signal. And in the frequency modulation, frequency will be varied. Frequency of the carrier signal will be varied in accordance with the message signal. Okay, now let us move ahead. The second video is not important, it is showing almost same thing. AM, amplitude modulation. See, how the amplitude modulation you can achieve, right? How you can do the modulation of these message signal. So if your message signal is going to modulator, and it will be modulated by one of the carrier frequency which will always be higher than this frequency. Okay, so carrier frequency signal which is generated by the RF oscillator will be given to the second input of modulator. So output of this modulator will be amplitude modulated signal. And before transmitting this modulated signal through the transmission medium, sometimes it will be amplified by the RF power amplifier, because amplification means you are increasing the amplitude, you are increasing the strength of the signal. So to increase the strength of the signal, we have done two things: to increase the frequency by using the modulation and increasing the amplitude by using the amplifier. And then we can transmit it to the antenna, to the medium. So the same thing is shown in terms of waveform. What amplitude modulator will do: low frequency signal, high frequency signal, and you will see this in the animation also. So you all know this, right? We have seen this into the animation also. Now let me tell you here that whatever message signal you have, the amplitude of the message signal, maximum amplitude of the message signal will be AM, amplitude of modulating signal or message signal. Carrier signal is having some amplitude, that is, let's say AC, carrier signal amplitude. Now generally we always keep AC as higher than AM. Okay, because we want higher strength of the signal, and strength can be higher by using of frequency as well as amplitude, right? So we are increasing the amplitude also. So amplitude of the carrier signal will always be higher than the AM, right? It means you should keep it higher. If it is lower, then there will be some disadvantage. I will tell you what it will be. So if you are saying that this is the maximum amplitude of modulated signal, then what it will be? AM plus AC. So addition of this amplitude plus this amplitude will be the maximum peak amplitude of this signal. So can you see this peak? This peak is AM plus AC. And which is the minimum peak over here? This one. So which is the minimum amplitude is this. So minimum amplitude is AC minus AM. I repeat, it is AC plus AM. It is AC minus AM. Okay, so AC minus AM is the minimum peak of this modulated signal, and this is the maximum peak of modulated signal. Now, this maximum peak and minimum peak are very important. So let us see the modulation index term. And by changing the modulation index, these peaks will be very important in the case of different type of modulation. So modulation index is nothing but the ratio of amplitude of message signal to the amplitude of the carrier signal. Amplitude of message signal upon amplitude of carrier signal is known as modulation index here. So it means if AM equal to AC, if you will keep this both amplitude AM and AC equal, then what will happen? Modulation index will be equal to 1. Okay, if AC greater than AM, then modulation index will be less than 1 because it is AM upon AC. If AC is less than AM, then modulation index will be greater than 1. So modulation index can have three types of value: equal to 1, less than 1, or greater than 1. So let us see, the maximum amplitude of the message signal must be less than the maximum amplitude of the carrier signal to avoid any distortion in the modulated signal. I told you, right, that you should always keep AC greater than AM, so that you cannot get modulation index greater than 1, because modulation index greater than 1 will give you one type of distortion which is known as overlapping of the signal, that we will see in the next slide, don't worry. But if your modulation index equal to 1, that is AM equal to AC, then it is known as critical modulation or perfect modulation. Second, if AC is greater than AM, that's what we want. Okay, so AC is greater than AM, then modulation index will be less than 1. So it is known as under modulation. And the last case that we don't want, that is AC is less than AM. So modulation index will be greater than 1. So that is known as over modulation. So let us see this all three modulation technique. First, perfect modulation. So in the perfect modulation, modulation index will be equal to 1. Okay. And as I told you here, right, if modulation AM equal to AC and minimum amplitude is AC minus AM, so AC minus AM will be equal to 0 if both are equal. If both are equal, AC minus AM is the minimum amplitude, which will be 0. So your signal will touches the 0 line as shown in this graph. See here, your signal will touches the 0 line. So this is the maximum amplitude AC plus AM, and this is the minimum amplitude AC minus AM, which is 0 in this case because M equal to 1. Okay. Second, under modulation. So when M is less than 1, then what will happen? AC will be greater than AM. So this is AC minus AM will be greater than 0. So you will get some amplitude over here. This is known as under modulation. And the third part is over modulation. So in the over modulation, AC will be less than AM. So AC minus AM will be negative value. AC minus AM will be negative value. So this is AC minus AM. And your signal will be overlapped with each other. That's why this over modulation is not wanted. That's why you always keep your amplitude of the carrier signal higher than the amplitude of the message signal. Now, applications of the amplitude modulation. See, applications are dependent upon the type of amplitude modulation. Now, you will think that which are the different type of amplitude modulation. So, let me tell you, amplitude modulation can have the different type like DSBFC, that is double sideband full carrier, double sideband suppressed carrier, single sideband, but it is not in your syllabus. That's why I'm not going into deep to explain that. But all those different technique of amplitude modulation is having a different advantages or different applications. Okay, so applications of the amplitude modulations are, so many applications are there, but right now here they have mentioned only 3 applications in a book. So first is airband radio. Airband radio means in a aerospace industry, they are using the amplitude modulated radio, AM radio. Whatever radio you know right now is FM, right? You are saying that FM, and FM is working in a megahertz frequency. But some AM radios are also there, which are being used by the aerospace industry, and that AM radio, in AM radio, they are using this modulation technique, amplitude modulation, and that's why they are saying it as a AM radio, not FM radio. So you can now easily understand that in radio, what you know, that is FM, in which F frequency modulation will be used. Okay, so here amplitude modulation is the application in the airband radio. Second is the broadcast transmission, right? So it is used for the broadcasting either short or medium or long wavebands. Now broadcast means what? Can anyone say what is broadcasting? You are using this broadcasting word many a times, right? Whatever broadcast of the TV you are using, TV broadcasting subscriber you are maybe of the different companies. So what is the meaning of broadcasting? Can anyone say what is the meaning of broadcasting? Okay, Suman is asking, can you explain the recovery of message signal from the carrier signal after? Yes, it is a part of experiment. Suman, wait for some time. We will recover the signal as well. Okay, because in this experiment, we are going to study amplitude modulation as well as demodulation. So in a demodulation, we will recover the message signal. Okay. And Tilahun is saying that how, ma'am, on FM, how many types of frequency? Is that depend on the point we have taken like ABCD? Yes, Tilahun, you are talking about the video, right? So let me tell you, in a video, they are saying that either in a message signal, either your amplitude of the message signal is in increasing direction or it will be in the decreasing direction. So whenever your message signal amplitude is increasing, your frequency will be increasing. And whenever your message signal is decreasing, your frequency of the carrier signal will be decreasing. So you can consider that in a frequency modulation, you can have a three different frequencies. One is the main frequency, that is a carrier frequency. Second is the frequency deviation by positive deviation, and third is frequency decreasing by the deviation, right? That they have mentioned as delta f and everything. So see, no need to do the calculation because it is not in your syllabus, and that's why I have not covered that part. Okay, so answer, okay. Sending signal in a very wide range is broadcasting. Distribution of audio or video. Okay. Yeah, Tilahon is saying that, so only three frequencies. No, I'm not saying that only three frequencies will be there, because why I'm not saying that only three frequencies? Because sometimes your message signal, whatever you are sending, maybe is not a single signal. There are multiple signals combined in a single message information signal. Okay, so whenever you are sending the information in such a way so that you can say that I have already told you about that combined signal, right? Whenever the multiple signals, multiple types of frequency signals you want to send at a time, then that type of three frequencies will not work. Okay, at that time multiple frequencies will be there, but at that time the calculation will also be different. Yes, so broadcasting, yes, in a wide range, if you are sending a signal, that is known as broadcasting, or it is also, you can say that a long distance communication, right? So whenever you are using a broadcasting, you are actually getting a signal from the satellite, right? So broadcasting means from a very long distance communication is happening. And this communication can be possible for the short, medium, or long wavelength. So here, short, medium, or long is used in terms of wavelength. Wavelength is measured not in the term of low wavelength or high wavelength or like that. These are wavelength can be, you can say that short wavelength, it means small wavelength value, medium wavelength, so middle frequency range, and the last is long wavelength. Okay, so different wavelength or different wavelength signals you can send by using a broadcasting. Third is the single sideband application. Now, single sideband is a technique of amplitude modulation. And by using a single sideband technique, you can use it for the high frequency radio link also. Right, okay, so if you are using a radio link for the high frequency, then you can use a single sideband amplitude modulation technique. So amplitude modulation technique, as I told you, there are multiple techniques for the amplitude modulation also, and one of it is single sideband. And there are some television applications also. In television applications also, we are using amplitude modulation, but the technique is vestigial sideband, which is again a type of amplitude modulation. Okay, but it is not in your syllabus, so I'm not going to deep into that because it will require one chapter. Actually, it is of length one chapter. Okay. Now, advantages and disadvantages of amplitude modulation, you will easily understand. I'm not going deep into it. It is a simple circuit, cost effective. All right, amplitude modulation is a very simple circuit. Cost effective means whenever you are using for a broadcasting or broadcasting audio video signal for the commercial use, you can use the low quality form of the modulation by using it amplitude modulation technique. So it is cost effective because circuit is simple, less number of components are used, so less number of wires are used, so it is less costly. And the third is it can be demodulated using a circuit consisting of very few components. As I told you that whenever you will use the demodulation, it will come into the next slides. So whenever you will demodulate the signal, it will require a very simple circuit of very few components. 2 to 3 components will do the demodulation very easily. Okay, and the disadvantages can be it can have a poor performance due to noise. So if noise will see, long distance communication means more noise will be there, that is for sure, right? So noise will be more, then obviously the performance can be poor because of it. But don't worry, it will not be there, because right now whenever communication system will be designed, they are keeping the circuit so perfect so that noise cannot be affected to the components. Inefficient use of transmitter power. Yeah, inefficient use of transmitter power, let me tell you here that whenever you are using a long distance communication, then you will require a huge power to transmit the signal, right? Whenever you want to transmit the signal to a very long distance, you will require a huge power also, right? Now, if you are using the amplitude modulating signal or method, then you are actually sending the two envelopes, one in the positive direction, one in the negative direction. So actually any one envelope can have the information, can have the message. So why to send the two signal? So whenever you are sending the two signals, it means you are not utilizing your power, you are not using your power efficiently. Okay, so two sidebands are not necessary, and that's why the single sideband technique came into the picture. But single sideband technique has its own disadvantage. Okay, and to overcome the disadvantage of single sideband and this amplitude modulation, there is another technique, that is vestigial sideband, which is actually used for the TV broadcasting. It is not efficient in terms of its use of bandwidth, requiring a bandwidth equal to twice that of the highest audio frequency. Okay, so you are not aware about these equations because these are the fundamental of the mathematical formulas, and again it is not mentioned in the syllabus or in the book. So let me tell you here, the bandwidth of the amplitude modulation is twice of frequency of the message signal, right? Bandwidth of the message signal will be twice of the frequency of message signal. So we are not using the bandwidth efficiently also. So these are the three disadvantages and these are the three advantages. No one is going to ask you, don't worry about it. I have just mentioned into the PPT because it is mentioned into book also. Different types of AM: double sideband full carrier, double sideband suppressed carrier, single sideband suppressed carrier, and one more technique is there, vestigial sideband. Because but it is almost separate. You can consider separately than this, because to overcome the disadvantages of all these three techniques, the fourth one is designed, that is vestigial sideband. Okay, so here double sideband full carrier means we are sending the two sidebands and one carrier fully. We are using a power, a huge power to send the signal. And all these three signals are not important at the receiver side. Second is double sideband suppressed carrier. So we are sending the sidebands, but we are suppressing the separately, fully carrier frequency, carrier component. Okay, so if you are suppressing the carrier component, then only two sidebands you are sending. And single sideband suppressed carrier means you are suppressing the carrier also, you are suppressing the one sideband also. So only one sideband you are using, either upper sideband, it means the positive envelope, or the negative envelope. Okay, so these three techniques are there for the AM. No need to study in detail. And next is the multi-SIN circuit, by which you can generate the amplitude modulated signal. So let me show you that amplitude modulated signal circuit. See, here I have used two different signals. Can you see the multi-SIN screen, everyone? Multi-screen, everyone, multi-SIN screen visible or not? No one is answering. Hello? Multi-SIN screen is visible? Okay, fine. So see, this is the function generator in which we are using one message signal or carrier signal. You can take one as a message signal, one as a carrier signal, whatever you want. For example, I am taking only 1 Hz frequency, right, of message signal. So message signal of very low frequency I am applying, and the second signal is my carrier frequency, which is, let's say I'm keeping as 100 Hz, right? So 100 times greater frequency I'm keeping for the carrier wave. And if I am giving this both input to the multiplier, then multiplier will multiply this both signals. One as the 1 Hz, 1 volt sine wave, that is, you can say that sine omega t. And the second signal is 5 sine omega t, but in both the case, omega is different. Here the omega is 1 Hz, here the omega is 100 Hz. Now let us see the multiplier output, how multiplier will give you the amplitude modulated signal. So I have connected channel 1. Okay, just a minute. And let me connect all the channels so that you can see it properly as you have seen in the animation. So let us connect channel 1 to the message signal, channel 2 to the carrier signal, and channel 3 to the output of multiplier. Actually, it is of very low frequency, so let me increase it somewhat so that you can see it more properly. Let me write 10 hertz instead of 1 hertz. Okay. And let me set the positions of all the signals. See, first is the message signal of 10 hertz. Second is the carrier signal of 100 hertz. And the third is AM, amplitude modulated signal, in which the frequency of carrier is, amplitude of carrier signal is increasing as much as signal amplitude is increasing, otherwise it is decreasing. Okay, so this is your amplitude modulator. I'm talking about modulator. We are going to learn both modulation as well as demodulation. So this is your modulation part, which is having this modulator circuit. Simple multiplier which will multiply two inputs. One is message signal, second is carrier signal, as we have seen in the diagram in the PPT also. Let me show you that. Yeah, this is the diagram, right? This multiplier is having one baseband signal, one carrier signal. So output will be modulated signal. Okay, any doubt into this modulation circuit to anyone? Then we will see the demodulation. Okay, so let us see the demodulation now. Okay, this is the demodulator circuit. This is the output of modulator. Now, demodulation. Amplitude demodulation can have the two different techniques. But demodulation obviously is the reverse process than demodulation. It means I want to receive the original signal what I have transmitted through the transmitter. Right? So how I can achieve that? That process is known as demodulation process. So after completing this theory, we will take a break. Okay, wait a minute. The process of detection provides a means of recovering the modulating signal from modulated signal. And generally, I told you that whenever we want to receive the signal back, right? We want to receive the message signal back. We generally follow the envelope of the modulated signal, because envelope of AM wave will be having the same shape as the message signal. Okay, so first technique is direct. You detect the envelope, right? Detect the envelope. The shape of the modulated signal will be same as the shape of the message signal. So that is the first technique, that detect the envelope detector technique. And the second is product detector. So we will see both of this method, and we will see into the multisim also. So let us go to the first method, envelope detector. Very simple circuit, because I already told you in the advantages that demodulation of the AM signal will be having a very few components into the circuit. So see the components: one diode, one capacitor, and one resistor. Let me tell you what is the meaning of it. See, here I am getting the modulated signal at the receiver side, but I want a message signal back. So how to demodulate this signal to this message signal? So, see, I have two envelopes. One is the positive envelope, one is the negative envelope. So either I can take any of this, either positive or negative. It will give me the message signal. No problem. But to do that, I will require the negative clipper or positive clipper. Have you heard this word? Negative clipper and positive clipper words. Everyone, a diode can clip the either the positive cycle. Yeah, everyone has done this into the BEE subject, right? So let me tell you here the diode direction is in the forward direction. It means positive cycle will pass through it, negative cycle will be blocked. It means it is known as negative clipper. So negative cycle will be clipped. So only positive part you will get after here. And now, whenever you are getting only positive part, you have to filter it. Low pass filter is connected by using the RC component. So what low pass filter will do? See, whenever you will receive this type of oscillations after this diodes will be having the oscillation. After diode, you will get the oscillations. But this low pass filter will smooth that oscillation to a single waveform like envelope. So let us see how it will happen. I will show you into the multisim. So here, see the multisim circuit. This is your modulated signal, right? Multiply message signal by the carrier signal, you will get the modulated signal. After that, either you can put the diode in the positive direction or in the negative direction. If you will put in this direction, you will get the positive envelope. If you will get this direction, you will get the negative envelope. And this is your RC filter. So let us see the same circuit into the multisim by, okay, just let me stop the simulation. Okay, demodulation, same circuit I'm showing you, but I have put only one diode instead of two because I want only one envelope. So after multiplier you have the modulated signal. Okay, and that modulated signal you want to demodulate it. So let us do that. Okay, let me connect it properly. First channel, let's say I'm connecting with the message signal. Second, I'm connecting with the carrier signal. Third, I'm connecting after multiplier, it means my modulated signal. And fourth is my demodulated signal. I'm just wire can only connect to the red line, okay, because this black are the leads of the component. It cannot be connected to the lead. And fourth wire I'm connecting to the demodulation output. So let us see the outputs of this circuit. Let me make all the channels on. Let me decrease the frequency. Let me decrease the amplitude also. This is my first signal, message signal. Second is the carrier frequency signal. Let me change the frequency. Let's say this is the message signal of 10 hertz, what we have kept into the modulation, because you will not be able to see the signal properly. Okay, let us see only two signals so that I can see it properly. Okay, we are getting the signal but not smoothened, right? We are getting here oscillations in the positive cycle. So we can change the value of the resistance and we can change it, make it smooth. Just a minute, let me change the resistance and capacitance value. See, I already, I think, told you about the low pass filter. That RC filter can be used as a low pass filter because RC is a time constant. RC is a time constant. It means T equal to RC, then frequency will be 1 upon RC. So whenever you will say that 1 upon RC is the frequency, you will use the frequency in such a way so that only low frequency can be passed. Okay, so that how much low frequency that you can design, that you can decide by using the RC values, because frequency is 1 upon RC. So if you will change R and C, the frequency component will be changed. So you can set your frequency value according to the requirement. So we will change R and C in such a way so that we can get it proper signal, but still we are not getting it proper. Let me make it bigger one. Yeah, it is more smoother. Can you see it, everyone? Right, the waveform of this output module demodulated signal will be somewhat more smoother. If you will observe here, you are not getting a proper smoothness in the negative cycle, right? In the positive cycle you are getting a proper smoothness, but in the negative cycle you are not getting it, because let me tell you that this diode is no doubt a negative clipper. It means it will clip the negative envelope. But the another problem with this diode is having some threshold voltage. And because of that threshold voltage, you will not get the appropriate proper signal by using the practical diode. Right? You have to use the diode so perfect so that you can get the smoothness very easily. So in the practical time, don't worry, in the practical circuits, they are using a diode and RC values in such a way so that you can get a very smooth waveform in the output. Okay, so you are getting a this type of, see, this is your envelope. If you will see this envelope, then the same envelope waveform you are getting here. The envelope is following. Positive envelope is the output. Okay, so positive envelope is the output of your data. Okay, so this is the demodulation. So let me tell you, demodulation or any process at the receiver side will not be easy. Any process at the receiver side will not be easy because the signal is coming through the channel from a long distance, and there can be that can be affected by so many parameters. So at the receiver side, you have to design a perfect circuit so that you can receive a message signal, and it is a big task nowadays also it is a big challenge to receive a proper signal properly. No, Yograj, it is 2:30 only. Okay, so I think after demodulation circuit I have explained, you need to take a break. Okay, so take a break of 2 to 3 minutes and come back within 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, then we will resume our session. So take a 2-minute break, everyone. Okay, Sagni is asking that, ma'am, did you cover ASK demodulator? No, I haven't covered, but I am going to cover it today. In today's lab, I'm going to cover ASK demodulator. Okay, so everyone is back. Can we resume now? Okay, fine. So that's all we have studied for the amplitude modulator and demodulator. Okay, in the amplitude demodulator, I already told you that there is a second technique also, that is a product detector or product demodulator. Okay. So in the product detector, let me tell you, rather than covering or rather than following the shape of the envelope of the modulated signal, what we are doing is we are doing a product of two signal. Product means multiplication. Okay, so which two product? One is modulated signal, what we are receiving at the receiver side, and second is the carrier signal, right? Carrier signal should be same what we have used at the transmitter side. So if you will use the local oscillator to generate the frequency, right, which is same as the carrier frequency which is used at the transmitter side, and if you will multiply it with the modulated signal, then also you can get the amplitude demodulated signal like this, right? So input signal is your modulated signal, AM signal, and local oscillator will generate the carrier frequency same as the transmitter side, and output will be your demodulated signal. Now we will think that how it is possible. So yes, it is possible because it is proven by mathematics. So if you will do the multiplication of both the signals, AM signal and carrier signal, then you will get the gain message signal back at the receiver side. That is the, but obviously that will require so much mathematical formulas. Now if you understand, then let me tell you some of the questions, and you already can see the answer also right here. So first is, in amplitude modulation, what will change? The instantaneous value of the carrier amplitude changes in accordance with the amplitude and frequency variation of the modulating signal. So yes, it is true, right? In amplitude modulation, the carrier amplitude will be changed in accordance with the amplitude of the modulating signal. What is the line connecting the positive and negative peaks of the carrier waveform called? So you all know that is a shape of the amplitude modulated wave, and which is known as envelope. What is the percentage of modulation if the modulating signal is of 7.5 volt and carrier is of 9 volt? So see, answer is 83.33. How you can calculate it? So by modulation index. So what is the modulation index? AM upon AC, right? AM is 7.5, AC is 9. So 7.5 upon 9, if you will do, you will get 0.83. 7.5 upon 9, if you will do, you will get 0.83333. So in percentage, it can be say that your modulation is 83.33% is done. Okay, this is the answer. Next is, what is the condition for greatest output power at the transmitter without distortion? So see, what is the question actually? They are saying that at the transmitter without distortion, if you want the greatest output power, then what should be the condition? Modulating signal voltage greater than carrier voltage, should be less than carrier voltage, should be equal to carrier voltage, or modulating signal voltage equal to 0. So I already told you, right, that always carrier voltage should be higher than the modulating voltage. Then only you will get the highest power, right? Or sorry, highest power for, not highest power, for the proper modulation. For equal to carrier voltage, let me tell you, that is known as perfect modulation, right? So perfect modulation means your signal will touches the zero line, no overlapping, no extra gap will be there between the maximum amplitude and the minimum amplitude. So that's why maybe they are getting the greatest power when it is a perfect modulation. And I'm not completing here, my lab is not completed, this experiment is over, no doubt. But before going further, ma'am, carrier signal and the sine wave will be just opposite? No, 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 no. Carrier signal can be sine wave also. Signal can be cosine wave also. It is totally up to you that which type of carrier signal you want to put. Right? Carrier signal is simple a carrier. It means if you want to go to Hyderabad by using a bus or train or flight, it is up to you. Right? Which type of carrier you want to use. Right? So here carrier signal can be sine wave, can be cosine wave. Whatever you want to use, you can. Don't worry. And if so, how will the, say, local oscillator will simply oscillates, right? Local oscillator will simply oscillates. For phase 0 degree, you have to use a simple one local oscillator. But if you want a cosine wave after local oscillator, you have to provide the phase shift also to the local oscillator. And phase shift can be achieved by using a many component like capacitor. Okay, so local oscillator simply oscillates. Okay, so it will generate a frequency only. It cannot be sine wave, it cannot be cosine wave. Sine wave and cosine wave is decided by their phase, right? So sine wave is having a 0 degree phase, cosine wave is having a 90 degree phase. So whatever phase you want to keep, you can keep in, or you can set it into the local oscillator circuit. Now, I told you that in the next lab, I will tell you about the ASK demodulator circuit, which is mentioned in the ASK experiment, what is uploaded into the assignment. So let me show you that, just a minute. Okay, so I have to go to there, just a minute. Before explaining this multi-sim circuit directly, let me show you. What you have to do in that experiment, okay, so that you can understand it properly. So in this experiment, in this experiment 3, ASK, they have shown you two sockets. One is ASK modulator and one is ASK demodulator. So in the ASK experiment, what we have done in the lab, we can cover only modulator part, right? So demodulator part was not covered at that time, but as it is asked into that document, let me tell you what is the demodulator and how it will be designed in a circuit as well as in the multisim. So in the demodulator circuit, there are multiple blocks, right? There are multiple blocks. If you are achieving the modulated signal, just a minute, let me show you. This is a simple diagram of modulator, and after modulator, you will achieve this ASK signal, and after demodulator also. So what is that demodulator circuit? Yeah, this is the demodulator circuit. ASK signal will pass through this demodulator, then you will get the original data output. Now, ASK signal will pass first from the rectifier detector, that is a diode. So again, in the ASK waveform, yeah, see here. In the ASK waveform, like this, right? You will receive either the carrier signal if message signal is 1, or you will receive 0 if the message signal is 0, right? No carrier signal will be received. If carrier message signal is 1, you will receive the full carrier, otherwise 0. So this is your ASK signal. Now, if you want to demodulate, it means you want to receive the original signal back, then see here. One can be in a positive direction also, one can be in a negative direction also. So I am again going to clip the positive or negative cycle, right? Same what we have done for the AMD modulation. See, I already told you that amplitude modulation and digital modulation is having only one difference. Amplitude modulation means you are converting analog to analog, and digital modulation means you are converting digital to analog. So only your message signal is different, but you want the envelope only in the one direction. So here also, if you have only positive cycle signal, then also you can achieve the message signal back. So I'm going to clip this negative cycles by using a diode. So that is the first block. Rectifier detector, which will clip the negative cycle. Second is low pass filter. So why low pass filter is required? See, if you will clip the negative cycle, you will get the signal which is oscillating, and you don't want the oscillations. You want a smooth signal, like it after getting a pick, it should go smoothly like this, right? No doubt you will not get exactly one after smoothing it also. Okay, but you will use the low pass filter, then you will get you will not get the oscillations, you will get a smoother waveform. And the third is, I will show you all this, don't worry, into the multisim also. And third is voltage comparator. So let me tell you, the voltage comparator is only the extra block here in the ASK demodulator than the AM demodulator. In AM demodulator, only these two blocks were there, right? Rectifier and RC, low pass filter. But here voltage comparator is there. So let me tell you why voltage comparator is required. Because a voltage comparator will compare the output of low pass filter with any one voltage. It means, let's say I'm saying that voltage comparator is comparing the output low pass filter with the 1 volt. Okay. So if your output of low pass filter is greater than 1 volt, then you will receive the data, digital data 1. And if it is less than 1, you will receive the digital data 0. So why comparator is useful? Because comparator can have only two outputs, either 1 or 0. Means either true condition or false condition. Either the value is greater than 1 or not greater than 1. Okay, so only true or false value, that is a digital binary values 1 or 0. That's why voltage comparator will be used. So let me show you the demodulator circuit, ASK demodulator circuit into the multisim also. Because see, this is asked into this multisim simulation circuit for the demodulator and output waveform. So you have to draw the circuit over here in this page, as well as the multisim circuit, as well as output waveform, what we will get at the CRO. Okay, so let me show you that circuit. Same circuit I'm going to make, what we have done into the block diagram. So don't worry about this part, because this is ASK modulator. This is ASK modulator. And second is diode. First is rectifier detector circuit. Then it is RC low pass filter. And the third part is comparator. I repeat, this is the modulator circuit. It means, let me use the another oscilloscope so that you can understand it properly. Let me use this Tektronix oscilloscope, in which I am connecting the first channel with the modulated signal, that is your ASK signal. Second channel is after filter what you are getting. And the third channel with the comparator output. So you will get the exact digital waveform, digital data, what you will transmit it. Okay, so this oscilloscope is connected with the three different channels, which will show you the three different waveforms. So first part of this demodulator circuit is diode rectifier circuit. Second is low pass filter, RC filter, and third is the comparator. Now let me tell you, this comparator is having the reference voltage. I have kept it 0.8 volt, but you can keep any value. Let's say I'm keeping it 1 volt. So what do you mean by 1 volt? That if your output signal of this low pass filter is greater than 1, then output of comparator will be logic high. But if your value is less than 1, then it will be logic low. But why I have kept it 0.8, let me tell you. that if you will receive after RC filter, you will receive the signal like this, which is having some oscillations over here, and then it will be decreased to 0. Again it will increase and it will be having some oscillations over here. Then again you will decrease and so on. This is the low pass filter output. Now what you want to do, you want to compare these values. So in this much duration, if you will observe, the values are varying in very nearby value. For example, I want exact 1, but it is varying from zero point 0.8 to 1.2. So plus or minus zero point 0.2 is the variation. So I have kept the zero point 0.2 variation over here. So if your voltage value is zero point 0.8 or greater than zero point 0.8, then you will get the logic high in the output. You can keep it 0.7 also if you are not sure that variation is 0.2 or 0.3. So let's say I am keeping it 0.7. Right? That will also work. Don't worry. So if your voltage value is greater than 0.7, you will receive 1 volt logic high. And if it is less than it, you will get the 0, that is logic low. So you will receive the digital data at the output according to the filter output. So let us see the waveform. So let me make the power on first. Let me show you the channel 1, channel 2, channel 3. And let us set the position also. Okay, so see, this is your ASK, on off king waveform. It is on, off, on, off, on, off, like that. Second is after low pass filter, what is happening? See, low pass filter is having a capacitor which will simply charge and discharge. Okay, so it is charging whenever it is getting the value, getting the voltage. Okay, so whenever capacitor is getting the voltage from the diode, it will charge. But how it will charge? So variation, if this variation are very high, it will charge in this much oscillations, with this much oscillations. And whenever it is going to 0, it will discharge completely. The capacitor will discharge completely. The value of capacitor will become almost 0. Again it will start charging like this, again it will discharge. But you are not getting digital waveform over here. You know that this waveform means 1 and this waveform means 0. Again 1 0 1 0, like that it should be here, right? But you are not getting the same. So what you have done, you have used the comparator. In this comparator, value of the what you are getting at 2 will be compared at the voltage with what we have applied at 0.7. 0.7 is the reference voltage. So if the low pass filter value, low pass filter output voltage value is greater than or equal to 0.7, so obviously it will be greater than or equal to 0.7, right? So you will get logic high. And if it is less than 0.7, let's say this is 0.7. Okay, so if it is less than 0.7, after this you will get the value 0. Again you will get the value high, you will get the value 0. Now if you will observe, then at 0.7 only your signal is becoming 0, not exactly at this point, right? Why? Because you have kept it 0.7. So let me increase it a little bit, because this variation is not up to 0.3. So if you will increase it to 0.8 or 0.9, let's say I'm keeping it to 0.9 because it is not more than 0.1 variation. So see, your waveform will be like this. 1 0 1 0 1 0, which is after 0.9 it will start decreasing. Again it will be 1, it will be 0. Now whenever you are using this ASK demodulator circuit, you want a reference ASK signal. That's why you have to put a modulator also with it. Okay, we have already seen this modulator circuit before whenever we have done the ASK experiment. Okay, so after ASK modulation, you can get the demodulation by this circuit, where the only extra block then the AM demodulation is this one. Okay, comparator. So any doubt into these three blocks, rectifier, filter and comparator and the whole circuit ASK demodulator? If anyone is having any doubt, then you can tell me. Mhm. So how can we get the original signal after demodulation using local oscillator? Yeah, that's what I was telling you, no, Suman, that it will require a mathematical formula. Mathematical derivation will be very long in this case, right? So mathematical derivation will give you the only message signal in the output. Any doubt into this ASK demodulator circuit, anyone? No doubts to anyone? Okay. So let me tell you the next experiment what we are going to perform will be line coding, right? So line coding theory part is already covered into the lectures. Okay, line coding theory part is already covered into the lectures. So let me tell you in the line coding experiment, what is the task? Actually, the task is done by the user. Task will be done by the user. Okay, so we have given one worksheet for the line coding experiment. So let me show you that, and so that you can do it later on whenever you will get the time. So let me show you that line coding, just a minute. Do we have to do all the post lab assignments after the lab, or can we submit it at the end of the semester? See, you have to do all the post lab assignment, but you can submit it at the end of the semester. But do it now because it is fresh right now. Otherwise, you will forget everything. So do all the post lab assignment on the time. See, why I'm not giving the deadline, because to do the assignments, deadlines are not necessary, because every time the every labs are not going synchronously, right? For example, one lab is in one lab I have completed 8 experiments, but in one lab only 6 experiments are completed because of some holidays and everything. So I'm not giving you the same deadline to every lab students. But what I want to say is, don't keep it on hold. Otherwise, at the end of the semester, you will say that, ma'am, how many things we will do? Because I am not telling you that do it at the end of the semester. I am saying that submit it at the end of the semester will be okay. But do it right now only, so that you can ask me the doubts, whatever you have. Because at the end of the semester, if you will ask me the doubt, then I will tell you that where were you in the lab, right? So you can ask me the doubts while doing the assignment. So do it now, no doubt. Don't keep it on emergency. Whenever you will get the time, do the experiments, do all the experiments. Okay, so I was talking about the line coding. See, in the line coding experiment, I have kept the same slide what I have explained you into the theory. The different schemes, line coding scheme, unipolar, polar, Manchester and differential Manchester. And then ASK, FSK, PSK is also kept into this slide, because whatever exercise what I am going to give you, that will require this ASK, FSK, PSK also. So let me show you what you have to do in this lab exercise. Okay, so this is the next experiment, line coding, but will be done by totally by the users. Okay, so try to do all the tasks, and if you have any doubt, you can ask me in this week. Okay, but kindly try to complete this task in 1 or maximum 2 weeks. Okay, because in the previous lab, I haven't given you any task. So kindly complete this 4 tasks into 1 or 2 weeks. So don't worry, I will not directly give you this lab exercise. I will explain one by one all the questions. Okay, so I will explain all the tasks today, and then you have to do this all task in the next 15 days. Fine. So if you will see the canvas, everyone, then in the canvas, one experiment is line coding, in which one document is uploaded for this lab exercise. To identify the different line coding techniques. If you will open it, it is the obviously experiment number 7. Sorry, there is a mistake. It is experiment number 7. Actually, in index, there is mentioned that experiment 4, but we have done it on the 7th rank. So we will give it 7th number only. So this all 4 tasks is given into this document file. Can you see this document file, everyone? Sorry, it is not the file. Just a minute, it is opening. Okay, so see, this is the lab exercise. You have to do it in the experiment of line coding. First task, what is mentioned into the PPT is same as given into the Word document. It is the task, convert the given sequence to the mentioned coding techniques. So you have to convert a sequence. The sequence will be given in a binary format, that is 10001, like that. Okay, so sequence will be given to you, and you have to convert that sequence into the mentioned coding techniques. So which will be the coding techniques? Like it can be unipolar NRZ, it can be polar NRZ, it can be polar RZ, Manchester, differential Manchester. So everyone, to do this task, you will need a PPT of line coding. Okay, you will need a PPT of line coding or signal encoding techniques, and that is already uploaded in Canvas, right? So if you want to see that, you can see it. See here at the home page, in the reading materials, there is one PPT, signal encoding techniques. Yeah, this one, signal encoding technique PPT. Okay, so you can open that PPT, you can take that PPT as a reference, and you can do this lab exercise. So let us see this lab exercise again. First, the sequence is given. So from the given sequence number, you have to convert it into coding technique. So which sequence is given? Sequence is given 100101100101000. Okay, so sequence is given here. That is the task 1.1, in which you have to convert it into NRZ, NRZM. Just a minute. RZ, biphase, Manchester, biphase differential. So all these techniques are given into the PPT also. Okay, and if you feel any doubt, you can ask me whenever you are doing this task. Now, the second point. Now, the sequence is not given. Sequence is binary number of the last 4 digit of your enrollment number. So if your enrollment number last 4 digit is, let's say, 1220, then the binary of 12220 will be like this. Okay, so whatever last 4 digits is of your enrollment number, you have to convert it into binary. That will be your sequence, but you have to convert it into 16 bits. So these are the 16 bits. So see, the second task is given, binary number of the last 4 digit of your enrollment number. You have to write it here. Again, you have to convert it into same techniques, NRZ, RZ, biphase, Manchester, and biphase differential. Okay, so 4 to 5 waveforms you have to draw. Third is, in the task 1, third part is BCD number of your birth date format number. For example, your birth date is 26/1/1991. Okay, so 2601 is your birth date and month. You have to take in a format DDMM. Okay, so date and month only. So 2601, you have to convert it into binary, and that will be your sequence. Here, the sequence number is given. Second, sequence number is last 4 digit of your enrollment number into binary, and here the sequence is the number birth date into the binary. But everyone, I have observed in one of the lab experiment, or it was in a worksheet 1 maybe, you have copied the assignment, so enrollment number even you haven't changed. This time, if I will see that you have used another student's enrollment number or birth date, then definitely I am going to give you 0 marks, everyone. Okay, this is a strict instruction. If you will copy the assignment, then I'm going to give you the 0 marks. Someone is asking that, ma'am, we have to write the sequence of number or draw the signal. No, you have to draw the signal. You have to draw the signal. Sequence number is only the question. Okay. Ma'am, circuit. Which circuit you want? Tilahun? Okay, how can we draw in Word? Okay. So see, you need not to draw in a Word. You can draw in a page also. You can draw by using a paint also. Anything you want, you do, right? So you can draw in a page and you can take a snapshot. We have just given a format that this type of document you have to submit. Okay. So if there are three sequences, you can draw in a three different pages and you can take a snapshot and upload. Otherwise, you can draw the waveform also. You are saying that how we can draw. See, it is very easy. For example, I want to draw here, insert, let's say I want to insert a line. Just a minute. If I want to draw a signal, then let's say I want to draw a 0 up to here. So let's say I'm drawing 0 up to here. I want to draw again the vertical line, right? So I can draw a vertical line like this. So again, see, it is difficult to draw the lines into the word, but it will be very easy to draw into a paint also, because you can draw simply lines like this, right? Like this, you can make a waveform. It will not be easy, and don't worry, it should not be in a proper format. It will be okay if there is some mismatch in the line. So you can draw in a paint also if you feel comfortable. Huh? Otherwise, the page will be easiest option maybe. Yeah, snapshot will work. Finding binary and making it into signal using line encoding, right? Yes. Finding the binary, whatever number is given, like your enrollment number or your birth date, you have to convert it into binary and then draw the signal. Okay, that is your first task. Second task, draw the block diagram and waveform of output for the ASK, FSK, PSK, that is binary PSK and QPSK shift keying techniques. So let me tell you, here you can convert only into, you can draw only the waveform. Circuit diagram, block diagram is not necessary. So I am, as a faculty of your class only, I am giving you the relaxation that if you will not draw the block diagram, will be okay. But you have to draw the waveform of output for ASK, FSK, and PSK. So three numbers are given, right? 10, 100, 111, 011, 010. So how to draw ASK waveform? How to draw FSK? How to draw PSK? That also is given into the PPT. The signal encoding PPT also, and here also it is given. So see, if the number is 1010110 something like that, then you can draw the ASK like this. Right? Wherever 0 is there, you draw a blank line, straight line. And whenever 1 is there, you draw the carrier signal. Right? So this will be your ASK signal. This is your FSK signal. PSK signal, binary PSK. Right? And this will be your quadrature PSK. Quadrature PSK is the only difficult part here. But why I have kept it? Because many students are not able to understand QPSK properly while drawing it. Whenever I will explain, you will understand. Yeah, it is okay. It is good. But whenever you will try to draw it, it will be difficult for you. So try to do the waveform. Try to draw all the waveforms in the QPSK format also. So these three numbers are given. Two numbers are directly given into binary, and third is given into hexadecimal. So you have to convert it into binary. It is not difficult, right? 1 means 0001. 6 means 0110. 8 means 1000, like that, right? So you can directly convert the hexadecimal number into the binary. So whenever you are getting the three binary numbers, you have to draw the waveform for it. And that is also given into this lab exercise. but it is not given the format. I mean not given into the this type of waveforms, right? Because you have to take a snapshot and you have to upload it. Third is draw the constellation diagram of ASK, PSK, QPSK, 4QAM, 8QAM, 16QAM. So I think I have already shown you the constellation diagrams into the signal encoding scheme. PPT. Let me show you that PPT if you don't remember. Yeah. So these are the constellation diagram, everyone. ASK, BPSK, QPSK, even more are given. 4QAM, 16QAM. So you can draw the constellation diagram. If you understand this, then you can easily draw the constellation diagram what is given into the task 3. So in task 3, they are asked for the constellation diagram for ASK. See, some of them are already given. Only I think one maybe 8QM is not given. But if you understand 4QM and 16QM, you will be able to draw 8QM easily. So all the constellation diagrams are given into the PPT. You can search it into the internet also. Right? In internet also the constellation diagrams will be given. But kindly understand, right? What is the constellation diagram and how to draw it. And in the fourth task, so third is easy, right? You have to draw the diagram only. Fourth is identify the line coding technique to write the name of it in the form of the waveform. So whenever, see, this is the sequence. Now, for this sequence, they have drawn that 1 means high value, 0 means low value, 1 means high, 0 means low. So it means it is unipolar NRZ waveform. So you have to write the technique name. Line coding name, you have to write it here. This is the actual bit sequence. You have to write that. This is the unipolar NRZ. Unipolar NRZ technique. Right? So line coding technique name you have to write by looking at the waveform. So whatever waveforms are given here, right, by looking at the waveform, you have to write the name only, name of the technique. And name of the technique you will be easily find out from PPT. If you will look at the waveform, you will be easily understand that what this technique is. So you have to write the names only. So two types of waveforms are given. One is this and second is this. Okay, here also you have to write the name. So that's it. This is all about the lab exercise 4, what you have to do into the within the 15 days and submit it into the assignment if it is open. If it is not open, then let me tell you, whenever you will complete in the 15 days, I will open it for you for 2 days. Okay, so that you can submit it. We already done line coding in worksheet 3. Worksheet 3, is it the same? No, this is not the same. Worksheet 3 is the part of theory lecture. Okay, and this is assignment work or this is lab exercise. Okay, lab exercise is different. And the question will also be different. Don't worry. So any questions in the line coding to anyone? Yeah, drawing can be done through the hand, no problem. You can draw in the paper through the hand and you can take a photograph or snapshot and you can upload it. Yeah, this is experiment number 7. Sixth experiment we have done today, that is amplitude modulation. And 7th is the line coding. Okay, so in next lab, everyone, keep your doubts ready regarding experiment 7. If you have any doubt in the question lab exercise, then we will solve it into the next lab as well as we will do the experiment number 8. So kindly keep your doubts of experiment 7 ready. Any doubt till now? Yogaraj is asking that, can we draw FSK, PSK in OpenLearn website? See, you can, if you are ready to do it by using this type of websites, then it will be very good for us, right? Because you will get a proper waveform and we will be able to assess it easily. So yes, if you are going to use any tool or website, we will welcome, right? We will welcome your answers happily. Don't worry. So you can use it. I told you, you can use any format. You can use Paint, you can use Word, you can use website, you can use multisim tool, right? You can get a answer from the multisim output also, right? And you can draw it by hand also. So anything will be comfortable, you can do it. Yeah, so whenever you get the time to do it, kindly complete the lab exercise. But first thing is, till next lab, I want the doubts if you have, right? So that you can complete it into next week also. So you can come with your doubts in the next lab and we will cover the next experiment also. If you don't have any doubt now, then you can write your enrollment number into the chat box, everyone. Write your enrollment number into the chat box without fail, everyone. Those who have written their number, they can leave.